Hi everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 27. We are still in our Final Fantasy IX playthrough, so if you want to start off at the beginning, go ahead and head back to episode 6. That is where we kicked things off. Obviously, we're quite a ways down the line. So where we left off last episode was we went to Alexandria, or rather, we finally finished Alexandria with all the side stuff. We had Hapal Racing, we had the Gennaro Bonero and Zanero Shuffle, we had all the story, fun comment. I mean, there's a lot there. So we finally made it through it, and we ended in Treno, or we got back here at Treno again.
Yeah.
Remember, we are with Aiko, Zidane, Vivi, Freya, and Amarant, and Doc Talk came along with us, and so that's kind of where we at. We did one thing before we ended last episode, and that was kind of just we kicked things off with the ATE. It's kind of the same thing here with the Treno. Remember the first time when we were here in Treno, there was a very particular order. Now, thankfully, it's not that specific, and it's not like a Black Mage Village one either, but there are plenty of ATEs here, and it is possible to miss them if you're just kind of not paying attention. After the story and everyone goes their different ways, you're given control as Zidane. First thing, without even moving, they give you that first ATE, which is Aiko Talks Life. We talked about it last episode. It's where Vivi gets recognized. It's where Aiko just kind of splits away from Vivi as well. So you're given control of Zidane, rather, again. Go ahead, head down to the next screen, which is like kind of the spiral staircase. You're still in the tower. And we get another one. Which one is this?
Yeah, so then you get how he ended up here. And this is a really good one. This is kind of where I think we sort of mentioned this the first time we were at Treno.
Yeah.
So this is where Vivi's walking around and he sees a familiar face again who was asking him, how was your time in Alexandria and stuff. And it turns out this was one of these guys that helped Vivi get on an airship and get over to Alexandria for the play right at the very beginning of the game. So it's really interesting because it sort of gives a little bit of backstory as to how Vivi ended up there and all this kind of stuff. So in this ATE, there's a pretty significant option that you have. The guy's talking to Vivi and he's like, well, now that you're here, are you going to visit your home? And
Yeah.
so you have this choice of, as Vivi, to either stay in Treno or revisit Quan's dwelling.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter which one you do. You do get a different ATE depending on which choice you choose, but it doesn't affect anything. Like, as long as you just watch all of them and watch that specific choice AT, you're still going to be fine here. So if you choose to go ahead and stay in Treno, which is what I did, most say to do it. I guess it's just because you get that, you get an additional kind of prize here. You get the ATE that's called Hippo's Prize, and so that will unlock if you choose to go ahead and revisit his home. It's called Quan's Dali, and you'll get Home Sweet Home instead. Either one, it doesn't matter. I just selected again to go ahead and have him stay in Treno. Once you get Zidane again, go ahead and head out of the tower. So, I mean, we're very slowly making our way through here. So that screen when you first get out of the tower, it's got the girl with the dog and all that. You're going to have two ATEs now. You're going to have that specific one that we just talked about, either Hippo's Prize or Home Sweet Home. And you're going to have another one. Go ahead and just watch Hippo's Prize or Home Sweet Home. Again, we did Hippo's Prize. It's pretty important because you actually can get the naming way card. It's kind of it has the little kids talking about power to the people again, and they have to rise up. They got to get their social status by playing cards, and it's little tiny kids talking about this, right? It's historical.
Yeah, right. And we kind of didn't mention this because, again, there are just so many little details to talk about in this game that we cannot cover everything. But What this is this little scene with these kids in the slums, like Mark was saying. One of them's name is Mario or something, and they have like these grandiose plans of
Yeah.
becoming rich and famous and getting themselves out of the slums,
Yep.
right? And this is the city of the nobles and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so yeah, the hippo kid gives him this amazing card, and basically, it's not crucial that you get it. However, there are only two of these in the entire game, and the other opportunity to get it is later on. It's a pretty good card. It usually has
Yeah.
about 6 attack, etc. Anyways, if you do get this scene, then you have a chance to win it.
Because remember, we know that we're here because of the card tournament, right? And so we're not going to talk about Home Sweet Home. I honestly don't even know what it is. So, regardless, if you watch that one, that's fine. You still need to just now move again, right? So, the other one that was showing, which was Memories by the Water, it's not there anymore. So, kind of just head towards the synthesis shop. Once you just kind of move to that screen, you will get the Memories by the Water again. So, watch that one. It's the world famous four-armed man here. He's still at Treno. He's still wanting to, I don't know, cause trouble. But him and Amarant bump into each other.
Exactly. And we mentioned on our social media on Instagram to how interesting of a character Amarant is. And it seemed like a lot of you agree, and he really is just we don't know anything about him,
Right.
to be honest, And this is the very first time like he's part of the party. We're back here at Treno, and before our man bumps into him, and he's like, "What the heck? You're not even gonna apologize for
Yeah,
that?"
not gonna
And he's like,
apologize.
"Oh." He's like, "You're that guy. Okay, yeah, don't want to mess with you." But he kind of goes off screen. He sort of like runs away or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's looking kind of, he's kind of watching, and he sees Aiko go up to Amarant and sees that she knows him and everything, and then he's like, "Oh, okay, I see a weakness here."
Yeah, yeah. Well, she comes up and is like, what's going on? Are you bullying him? Talking to Amarant about the forearm guy, and he's just like, no, just leave me alone. All this and that. Again, yeah, like you said, that's when the forearm man's like, oh, he likes kids. He's got a soft spot. Aiko kind of starts to do this thing that it starts to develop, and she keeps doing it. But like, she's confronting Amaranth about bullying, and he walks away, and she's like, so weird, And then
Yeah,
something else happens.
yeah.
She goes, so weird,
Hmm.
she's just figuring it all out.
Oh, well, just, if you think about it, this is the first time that Aiko's even been to a city
Yeah,
or anything like that. So this is all really strange to her. We had the scenes of her checking out Alexandria Castle and all that kind of stuff,
yeah.
and it's got to be really overwhelming. She's from this, abandoned, destroyed, old ghost town, pretty much, and now she's in Treno. So
Yeah, a bunch of people, nobles. Which kind of takes us to our next AT. So right now, again, we do have plenty of side things to do here. I say plenty. We have a couple of side things to do here. Just kind of leave them till after you get through the ATs, like usual. So from here, go ahead, head towards the card stadium, which is basically if you just head south. You're going to get the next ATE, which is City People. Watch that. It kind of goes to the synthesis shop area, kind of that corridor where we had our encounter with Forearm Man the first time around. We got that accessory from him. It's still
yeah,
there. It shows Aiko. She's watching like a bunch of rich people down the bottom talking about how
yeah,
they're by these statues, and she's like, man, I guess they got their own kind of problems too. But
yeah,
here comes
yeah.
little Forearm Man, right?
Yeah, the forearm dude's creeping over there, and so that kind of like hanging back, and she's just like, "What the heck? What are you doing?" And then he comes up, he's like, "Oh, hello." She's all, "Oh yeah, you're the one that Amarant was bitten up on."
Yeah.
And he's just like trying to brush it off, she's being real condescending to him. Anyways, and then it's really funny. She's just like, "What can I do for you, Mr. Wimpy?"
Mr. Wimpy.
It's
And,
great.
and so we know his thoughts are he wants to hold her hostage to get back at Amaranth. And she's inviting her to dinner, and she's like, oh, what kind of food? And he's rattling off. Lo and behold, like we never get any insight into Kina's travels. Like
She just
how she always just shows up.
just appears randomly, yeah. So Kina's there and is like, she overhears something about food. So she goes up to the forearm man and everything. She's like, you have food?
You have delicious
And
food? Yeah.
yeah, and he's just like, what? Who are you? What are you, basically?
Well, the
Um,
funny thing is, first when she comes up, she's behind him, and he's talking to Aiko, and like, you got seaweed things, all this stuff, and she like delicious food. He's like, yeah, there's delicious food. I'm like, wait a second. Turns around, yeah, it's like,
yeah, yeah.
did Amarant hire her to protect the girl?
Right, right. So it's really funny because when you think about this, this mirrors the first ATE that we had. Well, not the first one, but one of the ATEs we had back on our first visit to Treno, where we got the black belt
Yeah,
from the forearm man. Well, this time you also get another item. So basically, Kina's there. She scares him away. As he's running away, he drops a really nice piece of equipment, the
yeah.
Chimera armlet.
Yes, and that has the mug ability, which I think is the first. I think it's the first thing that has mug on it at this point. I don't
It
quote me
is.
on that, but if not, it does have it, which is nice. There you go. Get
It's really good, yeah.
a little something a little bit better than steel. And so at this point, the ATs are kind of paused. You kind of have to progress the story here to start unlocking more. So now you can kind of wander around and do the few side things. You may as well just keep heading in the direction you are towards the weapons shop. We got Mogridge is still out there playing with his doggo, and he doesn't have any new letters, so we still don't have anything
Yeah.
for Mognet, but he actually got a letter from Kupo if you did Hippol Racing and if you finished it off. And he's talking about how
Yeah.
there's a new champion sprinter in
Yeah.
Alexandria. And it's
Yeah. And we
Vivi!
talked That's right, yeah. I mean, we talked about this last time, the dreaded what do you call it? The dreaded sprinting mini game or whatever.
Yeah,
But anyways, yeah, it's one of these situations where it's not a Mognet letter, so you're not really going to miss anything, but it's just a
no,
little bit of extra information about the new champion sprinter
yeah.
and all of that kind of stuff. So,
Kind of, yeah, just kind of have an extra little funny thing that you
yeah,
get the recognition you deserve there.
that's right.
So there are plenty of other things to do, but before we continue on, let's do our bold move. All right, man, I'll go ahead and start us off this time for bold move. I got plenty in Final Fantasy VIII where I'm just going to be sticking here for a while, so
Yeah.
it was a pretty bold move of Laguna saying, yeah, sure, man, I'll go ahead and lead a whole entire advanced city in the world. Yeah, why not? I'm just here, a regular dude. I'm doing this job, and they choose me to Let's look at what is it, Esther, right? Like,
Yeah.
just insane. He's like, yeah, I'll lead it, sure, why not?
Yeah, so that's a really good one. And he's like sitting there, when you finally do meet him, he's got his like Hawaiian t-shirt on and his sandals and everything. Hilarious how he ended up in that position.
Yeah, I can't say I blame him. That's pretty bold, man. A regular dude who's getting laid cramps
Very
when he
much
talks
so.
to women, and now he's leading
Yeah.
this. All right, man, what you got?
All right. So I'm taking it to Final Fantasy VII.
All right.
And this is kind of an obvious one, but it was very much so a bold move for Yuffie to just totally betray the team and steal all of their materia, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely crazy.
that was.
I mean, and she never gives up either. Every single time it's like, oh, next time. It's like, man, why is she even on the team? Like,
Well, exactly. Yeah.
steals.
People are very forgiving, man.
Seriously.
All right, well, that is our bold moves. Let's see what there is to do in Treno. So while you are right here, I mean, we just talked to Mogridge, so you're right, go into the weapon shop. I mean, you might as well. There's nothing really new. The only new thing is the coral sword. But go ahead, pick it up. I think it's like 4,000, so everything else is exactly the same. I mean, we literally just, we're at Alexandria with all the new stuff. So pick that up. And then we got something else to do. So you do have another fight here. What is it? Blood Pass? Blood Pass?
Catopal Pass?
Blood
Yeah,
Pass?
something like that. It's a very it's a reoccurring sort of boss in the Final Fantasy series, Kotobo Pass. It's like in other versions, he's like a behemoth type, but in this one, he's kind of like a bull
Yeah,
cross
like a
something. Anyways,
Dragon Bowl thing or something.
yeah, we're not gonna try and describe it too much, but basically, so this is again one of those the weapon shop we mentioned it last time that in different segments of the game you have different fights for prizes. And
Yes.
so this time around it's Kotobo Pass, and this guy's pretty tough. He's got 3,700 HP. He's got a myriad of different attacks. Heave, a physical attack. Thundera, which does about 800 damage. Earthquake, somewhere around 300. And Devil's Spell. This is the really annoying one. It inflicts gradual petrify.
Yeah.
And then another thing that you put down, I didn't actually really know this. So he can actually use Limit Glove.
Yeah, I looked it up. I was looking at his abilities and I saw that. I didn't know what it was. And it's just if you are very unfortunate and unlucky to just get him to 1 health, so you just do attacks and he has 1 health, he'll instantly apparently use Limit Glove that hits you for quad 9s. So
And
there's
it's
there's gonna be
crazy.
no way that you're gonna prevent that, from happening if that just happens.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it hardly ever happens to anyone. But that was just a very
Uh,
interesting thing.
General strategies with this guy is pretty much just equip the best weapon that you can on Zidane. Angel Bless is going to give you that high attack. For abilities, you're going to want to have Beast Killer. You're definitely going to want to have Jelly. And then other than that, it's pretty much your choice. You could have HP plus 20%. You can
Yeah.
have what's some other one? Counter attack, things like that.
Yeah, distract, and then also if you did get those boots for haste, you could have auto haste on, and so yeah,
And
it
then
was pretty interesting. I mean, you do have some options for accessories here. We talked about the feather boots last time on how it's they give you auto float, so if you do that, that will negate earthquake. But I didn't go that route. And I instead went coral ring because my
yeah,
thought was that what, like, if anything, I don't want to just negate damage. I want to be able to
mhm,
be healed by it. And that's what coral ring does, right? So it
that's a
absorbs
good point.
thunder spells. And so so that's what I did. And I'll be honest, man, I just completely demolished this dude. It wasn't
Yeah,
even, it was a cakewalk. And that's how, like, I don't know how much Heave does, so because he didn't use it. He used Thundara right off the bat on me. And again, that's how I
yeah,
know it did about 800, and that was nice because I was healed for 800. Granted, I was full health, but.
yeah.
And then Earthquake, that's why he used it, and it only did 300. So that's why I was kind of like, you know what? I'm glad I went
Surprised.
with Coral Ring because it's
Yeah.
only 300 damage. You're only negating that. Meanwhile, you could have been hit by Thundara and, taken out 800 health. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it just kind of goes to show in a lot of these games, if you're well prepared, these battles aren't too difficult. But that's the whole
Right.
caveat is, oftentimes I remember when I first played this, you get into this battle not knowing what to expect. He's gonna like use Devil's Bell and petrify you or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but if you're well prepared, you can beat these, and you get a nice 15,000 gil.
Yeah. Which, on that note, let's
Yeah.
go to the auction house, man. Let's go
All
spend this
right.
money we just got. So, episode 14 is where we talked about the key items you can get, how when where you sell them for how much more. We're not going to discuss that. We're just going to talk about the 3 new items that have been added to it since we got back from the outer continent. So the first one we even just talked about, you can get some feather boots.
Yep. And so I was looking up some of the ranges that these go for. There seems to be, I'm not sure, but it seems like, certain strategies with the auction house can really benefit you. For
Yes.
example, if you go in there and they'll typically have the same items, over and over again and maybe recycle them. But you'll notice that the crowd, the people like sitting there bidding and stuff, they'll bring it up to a certain level. So for the feather boots, I'll probably bring it up to like 8,000 to 10K
Yeah.
gil or something like that. And what I like to do is basically, you've got the exclamation mark there to bid. I like to wait until the auctioneer says, final, last bid, 8,900 any more, and then at the very last second I'll place a bid because it seems like the AI will try to upbid you a lot, and
Yeah.
you'll end up paying more. So
Yeah, and which, on that note, so another one is also the anklet. And those two don't, I wouldn't even waste your time buying them in the auction house. I mean, you're
yeah,
going to be paying way more for them than what you could just synthesize them. And so,
and it's not that good.
no, and they're not. But there is one thing that was really good that I have never gotten, and I'm glad that we're doing this because this is the
Yeah.
first time I obtained it, is the Dark Matter. And Dark Matter's awesome because it does give some pretty decent stat boosts. I think it's like, what, Strength and Magic. It's like 4 or 5 to
Yeah.
each of them. And it teaches Dagger Odin. So, dude, seriously, I've never gotten this. It was awesome. But, yeah, so here's the thing. I was just so tired. It was the last item in the 4 items, so I'm sitting here waiting like 10 minutes
That's
just to
it,
buy
yeah.
this stupid thing. And so I was just sitting there just mashing it, like bidding, 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 bidding.
Uh-huh.
And they were trolling the heck out of me, man. They kept raising it by like 3,000-4,000 every time. I'm like, come on, man. It's like that one dude,
No.
in bids that just sits there and is just trolling everyone, just rising it up just to make people pay more. That was
Oh,
me. Yeah.
seriously. Everybody knows too. I mean, if you go to the auction house, you know how frustrating this is, especially with dark matter, because they like instantly. It's so ridiculous how they bid it because it doesn't do anybody any favors.
Yeah.
It'll start at a price. They'll up it by like 5,000 gil for
Yeah.
some random reason, which is like
They're
that's
just trolling you,
how did you
man.
bid like that?
Just
Yeah.
trolling. Yeah, like raise it. Why do you want to pay thousands more? Just raise it by 100. Like, what's wrong with you, man?
It's not how you bid. Yeah.
No.
So, anyways, it gets really pricey. But here's the thing about dark matter. Not only it teaches Dagger Odin, which is awesome, it is a very rare accessory. It's only sold at the auction house one time and one time only. I think
Yeah.
there are other ways of getting maybe one or two more in the game, but that's for another time. It's going to be very expensive. I would say probably go in there with 30,000 to guarantee that you're going to get it. I mean, 'cause it can get up to about 20,000 or so easily. So
Yeah, I think I paid about 18 is what
that's
it ended up
typical.
being. So,
Yeah, it'll be pricey. So if you guys want it, but like Mark was saying too, its stat boosts are really good. So even if you don't use it for teaching Dagger Odin, you can equip it for its strength and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
So
pretty good. So that's about it for those two things with auction house and the weapons shop. So another thing is you should have some Stalazio coins built up right now, and you can go ahead and turn those in. I missed one. You should have 9, so you should have 9 at this point. I must have missed one, man. I don't know what it is. We already did the 5. Remember, we got the blood sword. I think the 5th was maybe just some more money. If for 6 of them, it's an elixir. When you turn in 7, it's 10,000 gil. 8 is a black belt. You should already have a couple of those now. And then that 9th one is 20,000 gil. So, the auction house maybe did clean you out, but you're getting, I mean, so far, if you turned in up to 9 of them, that was 30,000. The monster was 15. So you've already made 45,000 gil here. So another thing is the synthesis shop. Exact same as it was in Alexandria. So maybe you got a little extra money now to go buy some items and make some of these items maybe you couldn't earlier. So go ahead, take care of that. But the last thing that it's really only the last kind of side thing to do here before just moving on the story, is going back to Dali. We talked about it, man. The mayor,
yeah,
he ain't here. So
that's right.
if you backtrack and go all the way back to Dali, we can get some stuff. But there's something that you should do if you selected the other option for the ATE, though, right?
Yeah, so if you sent Vivi over to Quan's dwelling, you can head out of Treno, go over there and visit him, and apparently you get like a little extra scene when you go over there. I don't know that I've ever actually done this, so I'm gonna have to trial test this on my
Yeah.
game and see what happens here. But you'll find Vivi there. Regardless, you get a little extra scene. He joins the party. Then you can head over to Dali. First thing that you might want to do, this depends on this is something that you want to do or not.
Yeah.
Ollie sells basic equipment, which can be useful for getting those wrists again. So one of the strategies, I think I mentioned it back in Limblum, is there's a trick for synthesizing cotton robes and then selling them, and you actually
Yeah.
profit off of that. So this is one of the only places where you can buy wrists. So you can just go ahead and stock up on 99 of those. And another thing is you can buy some more mage staffs, which are useful for synthesizing the magician robe.
Gotcha. Yeah, and again, that's just if you want to just get some extra money. And I mean, you should have a decent stockpile right now to go ahead and buy those if you want. I didn't worry about it. I did not want to be bothered spending all that time synthesizing those many things. So
It is a pain. It's a lot of running back and forth.
it is. And so regardless, you can head into the windmill and head into the mayor's house finally. He's not there to kick you out. There's the kid there. So they left the kid. They brought their whole family and went to, but they left the kid on the couch. So I don't understand it. But
the
all
kid's
you need
still sleeping.
He's
as usual.
Yeah, I know. Goodness gracious, dude. Like, he's narcolepsy or something. I don't even know. But regardless, you need to like search the room, right? Dude, I'm glad that I looked this up because I would have had no idea what to do.
Well, it's kind of like a little mini game. It's really funny. So as soon as you enter the room, you don't really have like control over Zidane to move around and just walk around the room. So you get a little list of options, and it'll be like search desk, search here, search there, blah blah blah. The way that you do this to get the items is you search the desk and you get a key item. It's one of those little mini figurines. It's a mini brawn. So whoop-de-doo. I don't know, like it's just a missable key item, and it has a little funny piece of information to it. Anyways, so then you can just keep on searching the desk until the kid that's sleeping on the couch does like a little like z thing.
Yeah, he's snoozing.
And then you can search the heater and you get the mayor's key. So it's very specific, but you really, really want to do this.
You do. And those are the only two things. So once you do get that key, go ahead and pop on out. And the windmill's not turning anymore, so you can now head up that ladder and get the two items. You've sought those chests forever. And it's kind of, I mean, it's okay, but it's kind of like, oh man, I've been waiting this long for this. It's a Kashusha, or whatever. You've had those forever. But you do get another elixir, so that is worth it. But still, it's kind of like whatever.
Oh, you know what's funny though to think? Imagine if you could have gotten that Kachusha at the very beginning of the game, right? How sweet would that be?
That would have been awesome.
That's like ability up and everything.
Yeah. But regardless, that door is why we got that key. So go ahead and open up that door on the first floor in the windmill. There's a nice little chocobo. You're in that little kind of area now. It's a hidden chest on the right. If you search it, it's 30,000 gil, man. I mean, so now at this point, just in this segment we played here for the past 20 minutes, probably in game, you've gotten 75,000 gil. So, man, we're feeling like high rolling. We're gonna go buy ourselves one of those statues, those nobles we're talking about, and you might want to search it again.
Yeah. See, this is so. There's so many missables in this whole section because. Anyway, so if you search it again, you get the final coffee, Berman coffee, which is all part of Morrid's coffee quest. That if you talk to him, the old guy at the observation tower near Dali, he's obsessed with his coffee. So now we should have the mocha, Berman, and Berman coffees.
Yeah, and convenient that he's right there. So before we go to Morrid, though, I will say, if you do talk to the people in Dali, it's quite of a somber mood because, they used to be farmers, but then they converted to the machine. If you talk to some of the kids, they talk about how the mayor's brother has become a drunkard. You can actually find him in the little kind of like, pub area or whatever, and he's drunk. And he's talking about how he doesn't say Garnet, but she shut down the whole thing right when he got invested into it. And so he's drowning his sorrows because right when he finally gets on board with this whole, making black mages thing and doing that, Garnet shut it down. And so he's just complaining about that. But
well, then on top of that, there's no more mist. So whole thing, and it's just bad timing on that guy's part, unfortunately.
Yeah, hey, he deserves it, man. He's set up even to be kidnapped, right? So there we go. But go ahead, head to Morrid, man. This dude is so stoked, man. He is so stoked that he finally got the specialty legendary coffee. you give it to him. It does a little cutscene. He talks about how he's finally ready to die and join his wife now. It's like, dude, you were seriously holding off just to drink some special but hey, to each their own. And then you get a nice little mini Prima Vista for your Tantalus hideout. So that's pretty cool.
I know, and this is kind of weird. Like, to be honest with you, I was a little disappointed because the Prima Vista, it's not even a key item. You don't get any usable items or anything. All that happens is it gets, like Mark said, it gets sent to the hideout and you just see it there. And it's like,
hey,
okay.
Man. It's better than nothing. And it wasn't like we had to break our back to get these coffee beans, so.
That's the thing. They're so hard to get, but, anyways, it is what it is. That's what you get, so.
All right, well, at this point, there's only one thing left to do, and that's return to Treno. But before we do that, let's do our seed trivia. All right, this is Alex's rank 23 quiz.
Let's go.
We're just going to dive right in here, man. All right, so kicking us off, Final Fantasy 12. I don't know how the heck to say this name. It's that Vera at Rabanastar that you got to answer the questions for, right? Jin, it's KTJN. I don't know how to say that.
Me neither. It's like Kieran. No, because Kieran is another one, but
yeah,
I know which one you're talking about.
We'll just say Kin. We'll just say Kin. We'll just do that. All right. So, anyways, in total, there are 5 questions that you answer for her.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know for sure. True.
Next question. Final Fantasy X-2, man. All right, here we go.
All right.
I don't know if you've even done this. I've never done this. Feed the Monkey minigame. It's in Comlands.
Huh.
And apparently I had to read about it because I literally have never done it. So there's a Feed the Monkey minigame where apparently you're trying to get its weight correct or something like that. And you got to open up a bunch of treasure chests and there's a bunch of different fruits. But the heavy medium fruit will add 10 to weight.
Oh, man, I've never played that game. Finally found something on X2, I don't know. False.
Had to dig into the strategy guide, man. I was like,
for
what
real.
the heck is this? Alright, Final Fantasy VIII. The aura magic will also cure the status curse.
Oh man. False.
Alright, Final Fantasy VII. When you first meet Vincent in the Shinra mansion, the first thing he says is, "Who is it?" I mean, he says a little more angry than that, but that's the first thing he says.
True.
Alright, Final Fantasy XIII. Another thing I've never done, but the Chocobo treasure hunting. Once you get 20 digs, or rather, you will get the Entite ring after 20 digs.
I think that's true.
Final Fantasy IX, what we just talked about. Odin requires 30 AP to master.
Some really tough questions. False? False. I think it's more than that.
Alright, our last question is in Final Fantasy X. Ixion's Arrow Spark also negates some magic effects, such as Haste, Protect. There's more. I mean, and those specifically don't matter. It's just the fact that it will also negate some magic effects.
True.
Alright, man, let's recap it. Going back to Final Fantasy XII, there were 5 questions. You said true, it is false. There is only 4 questions that you have to wait forever to answer and be very brutal to her. And she's like, oh, okay.
I know, right?
Gosh, you should so be ashamed. You should be ashamed. It's like, gosh, man, Vaughn, what a jerk.
Okay, I know.
All right, Final Fantasy X-2, the Feed the Monkey, man. I don't blame you for this. You said false. It actually is true, apparently. The heavy fruit medium adds plus 10 to weight. Dude, I was reading, I didn't understand anything. I was like, this game seems so stupid.
That sounds ridiculous. I can imagine, though. They came up with some weird stuff in that.
Oh my gosh, man, yeah. Alright, Final Fantasy VIII, Aura also cures the status curse. You said false. That is actually true, apparently. I looked it up. Yeah, so I don't really know what curse does, but if it has curse, you can also use aura to cure
I think it's... Yeah, I think curse... It kind of makes sense because I think curse means that you can't use your limit breaks or something. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That does make sense. Alright, Final Fantasy VII. The first words that Vincent says is, who is it? You said true. It's false, man. He says, to wake me from the nightmare. Come on, man. You're supposed to memorize your encounter with Vincent.
Oh.
Okay.
Man.
All right. Final Fantasy 13, the Chocobo Treasure Hunt. You get the N-Tight Ring after 20 digs. You said true. It's false. You get the ribbon after 20 digs. N-Tight Ring is 15. All right. Final Fantasy 9, Odin requires 30 AP to master. You said false. It is true. It is only 30.
I've literally, I think I got every single one wrong. Dang, man.
All right, last one. Ixion's Aerospark also negates some magic effects. You said true. It is true. It does, which I didn't know that either, so that was pretty cool. I was like, huh. I mean...
I was the only one I knew.
It's the only one. Hey, man. You didn't pass. I feel a little proud of myself at the same time. Dude, I would not know any of these questions.
Those are really tough questions.
I really dug deep this time. Man. Yep. All right, well... Alex will give it another go next episode for his rank 23. All right, well, let's get back to Treno and see what's left. All right, well, once you finally make it back to Treno, side note real quick, if you're like me and pretty far behind with Zidane's weapons, this is like an absolute awesome time to just farm some AP real quick. Battles are super easy. They don't give you hardly any experience, so you won't start to kind of leveling up. And you just kind of keep up. I mean, it's not a whole lot of AP, but spend 10 minutes, and he started mastering some things finally. And so, side note there. But once you do get into Treno, go ahead, head to the card stadium. You do need to talk to the ticket master. I think he's the dude on the left behind the counter. You got to sign up.
Yeah, I seriously love this part, though, because it's just like, he's talking, so, Zidane's like, is the champion really this special? He's like, oh yeah, very much so. And then it's like, okay, well, who is this? And the whispering, it's like, wait, what? The champion's a cutie in a sailor's uniform?
Cutie in a sailor's uniform. He's like, oh man, I gotta win.
Yeah, so he's just like, oh, I'd love to play her, man. So Zidane, he's back on his game and everything.
Yes, and now here we are. You have to do probably some of the hardest things in this game, which is you got to win some card matches. Please go save it. Oh my gosh, please. The Moogle's right there, Morrid. Go save it, because anything can happen. Essentially, you do need to win 2 games. Let me ask you, man, can you get stuck here if you just simply cannot win?
No, I was looking up a guide. I'm not sure. I've never really done this, so I don't know what happens, but apparently you don't need to win the games.
Well, so again, if you lose, he just says go back in and try again. Like, you're not out of the competition, so to speak, but so that's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, so I'm like, can you get stuck here if you just simply can't win? Now, you can buy some cards from him that are like, I think decent. They're like 1,000 gil a piece or something, but I was just thinking of that.
Basic. Yeah, you can buy like Fang card, Skeleton card, Goblin card, and Flame card for 100 gil pop. But don't even bother with that. They're not going to help you at all. Trust me. If you're going to win these games, they're going to be throwing some fairly decent cards at you. This game is so random, and anything that's random is bad.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and man, we've talked about all the cards. So if you have followed along with us and gotten all the cards we've talked about up to this point, you should have a very decent hand. Unless you're kind of like me, Alex always recommends before you get these cards, make a save, because you never know what the arrows are going to look like, and that's kind of the main thing. In case in point for me, man, I didn't pay attention when I got that Nova Dragon. My Nova Dragon's very strong. It also only has one arrow on it. Yeah, and
so hard to play with those, man.
It is, because it's so situational and it's so random. But regardless, you should have Shiva, Rama, you should have Ribbon, other things. Keep in mind, the defensive cards can be very good because, their role's kind of just to block some stuff and all that. So regardless, you do need to win a couple games. After you play the first one, if you win, now we're going to get going with the ATs again. So when you win, it's not going to be after that first match no matter what. No, you have to win. And then you'll get Good Old Days is the
Yeah.
ATE, and we get
This
more backstory of Amarant.
Yeah, this is a really good ATE. Probably one of my favorites. It kind of takes you over to the front of the auction house again,
Yeah,
and Amarant's sitting there. Freya's walking by, and she's just like, "Oh, Amarant, what's up, man?" And they have like a little chat and all this kind of stuff. Amarant's really standoffish and all this kind of stuff, and he's not really, he doesn't think that anybody cares about him, and he doesn't really care about anybody.
yeah,
So in this scene, he's sort of reminiscing about the past and things like that. And so basically, during the scene, you have an option as Freya to say, not interested, but what you want to do is you want to select, of course, I'm interested in
yes.
Amarant's story. And then you're going to get another one later on. I think you have to go over to the
Well,
Google
so
again.
yeah, so this is the interesting thing is we kind of both looked it up. I didn't really see any particular direction. Now at this point, again, once you say of course I'm interested, pretty much that AT ends. You're back with Zidane. You could go right back into the card game. Don't do that. You need to at least move somewhere. I would suggest go save it. You won a card match. That's not a guarantee ever. So go save
Yeah.
it. On your way and going into that next screen where the Moogle is, you'll then get Lessons of Life. I would imagine you probably would also get it if you head back towards the synthesis
Other way.
area. But
Yeah.
again, if you just want to save, head there. Now you get Lessons of Life. Now we finally find out what the heck Amarant's beef is with Zidane.
Yeah. And so it turns out, again, we're back at the auction house. This is back in the day when Zidane was part of Tantalus and all that stuff. And he runs out of the auction house after having stolen a very important item.
Yeah.
And Amarant comes out and everything, and he's a security guard for the auction house. And so, they're having a little confrontation about this and all this kind of stuff. The guards run out of the auction house like the other guards, and then Zidane kind of uses his trickery
Yeah.
to turn it against Amarant, and it was basically like, "Well, this is the guy that you're after, not me." And they're like, "But he works here." It's like, "Yeah, but that's why he's so suspicious, right?"
Yeah. He's like, hold him off. I'll go call the cops.
Yeah, it's just so funny the way they're so gullible. Anyways, so that's what happens, and
Well, and
as
to
he's
kind of fill in a little bit more too is Amarant is still being Amarant. He wants to pick a fight. He thinks that he's super strong. He wants to show his strength. And Zidane's going the same thing. Like, dude, why do you just want to fight everything all the time? Like, that's not the only way to solve issues. And so as
Yeah.
Zidane's kind of walking away, that's when he kind of like whispers, I guess, to Amarant. And here we go again. Ooh, the sly eagle hides its claws.
That's right.
Sly eagle comments, man.
Oh, and you bring up a good point about their dynamic is that, they have these two different styles where Amarant is very much about overtly showing your power,
Yeah.
physical dominance and things like that. Well, Zidane's teaching him that use your head. Think about these things because you don't even have to fight. You don't have to do any of this stuff. I can just basically, swindle these dudes and
Yeah.
then get away with it and everything. So,
And I mean that's kind of shows you Zidane's thing. I mean, obviously we know he's a thief. He's part of the Tantalus group. That's what they do is steal things. And so clearly they're not all about just fighting. You gotta sometimes fighting is the worst thing you can do in some situations, And so kind of again, so now we know why Amarant was like that because, like you said, the gullible guards that just believe a random person. Amarant became a wanted man, and so that's kind of why everyone's kind of intimidated by him and Treno as well. And now we know what his deal is.
yeah, and fun fact, so you could see this in the first disc back in the first time we went to Treno. But if you go to the inn in the slums, down the stairs a little bit, there's a wanted poster that you can see there, and it's a wanted poster for Amarant. So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because it's a little hidden Easter egg type of thing, but now you know how Amarant became a wanted man.
Yeah.
Now you know how he's notorious and all this kind of stuff. So
Pretty cool. So everyone, we're finding out all this info about all our characters that we just had no idea about. You're given control of Zidane again. Make sure you do save it. Head back into the card tournament. Win your next one. Again, you have to win. After that one, you're given 2 more ATs. So again, you will have to move. You can watch whatever one first. It doesn't really matter. The first one we'll talk about is hallucination. So it's a pretty funny one. We go back to Kina again, and she's walking along that kind of path towards Morrid, where it's kind of that slim thing. She's talking about like, man, I set out in the world to find all this delicious food. Food always costs Gil. Why does everything always have to cost Gil?
Yeah.
And then she's looking down reflection. She's like, it's something about like it looks delicious or something, but she's like, but yeah. I know that it's water, but it looks good. I'll probably die. And then she just jumps in, and then you get a hilarious thing from the old guy he comes over, he's like, what a shame. I've seen many people commit suicide because of gambling debts.
Yeah, it is so funny. I love that scene.
Oh, man.
But one other thing, just to kind of backtrack just a little bit, that second match, just want to note, it's especially important to save your game before the second match, only because if you watched Hippo's Prize, the second match is going to be against Mario of the Slums, and he's going to play Hemingway.
Yes.
And I know this from experience. Hemingway is a really tough card, and there's a high likelihood you might lose that game. So save, and yeah, that's when that comes up. But regardless, after you watch Hallucination, I guess you just have to move over once.
Probably go save it again. Yeah, might as well go save it again. You know, you do have one more match to win. So regardless, go head one screen over to save it again. And now you get that other ATE, which is Premonition. And this is actually goes back to Aiko, and she finally goes up to talk to Doc Todd. That was the whole point of us coming to Treno, you know. Yeah. So she finally is doing it. And we're just given even more insight about kind of the history of the summoners and what exactly we know. We talked about it last episode. We know that Aiko and Dagger did an exchange of, like, they said gems, or maybe it was crystals or something. Yeah. And Doc Tot goes in one of his just deep thinking kind of monologues where he's like, interesting, you know, like, it's apparently, we don't know very much about this point. All we know is that there was a crystal, and about 500 years ago in the game, they broke it up and distributed it among nations and stuff. But he's like, but why did they give one to, you know, like, Madain Sari? Like, why would they do that? Yeah. And that's kind of all we're given there on that too. And so it's slowly building on that and what exactly these powers are and what the heck the crystals are even. You know, we still don't really know. But at that point, though, Aiko is like, you know, Mog's calling me. Something bad is about to happen. And so she runs away. You're back to Zidane, so go ahead and save it once more, and it's time to go take on the champion, which she's rolling up in town, and everyone's like, ooh, and then there's a little Oglop with her going guac guac, you know, and it's like, oh, we know that little mustache Oglop, that's Sid.
Yeah, it's really funny because the people outside see it, it's like, oh, you know, all hail the champion, it's like, here she is. Oh, and her pet Oglop, everything like that, and the dude's just like, ew, Oglop,
Dad, ew, an Oglop.
Yeah, and the champion, she's just like, oh, I'm sorry about it, it's just my pet, you know.
Oh, Sid didn't like that at all, man.
Yeah, Sid's just like, oh, okay, so I'm your pet now, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
See how it is.
And she's like, well, you know, you are an Oglop. And he's like, silence! I'm the card master or whatever. He's like, I'm the champion, you know, come on.
And, so guess what the champion's gonna be playing?
Yeah, you know it.
All Oglop cards.
All Oglop, but they're actually kind of decent. All of them are. Yeah. I think most of them have a strength of 2. Some might be 1, but you know, and that's not like a big deal. But just again, keep them. You know, the RNG. You never know what to expect, and so you should easily win this. I would say Mario was probably a harder match than this is, and so
definitely, yeah. Because I mean, at least with this, the thing with them all being physical, it tends to help if you attack a physical card with magic.
Yeah,
they typically won't have any magic defense. So if you just stack your deck with, like, I don't know, nymph cards,
Well,
Trying to think of some
Yeshiva, the
other
summons,
magic
yeah, and stuff.
Shiva,
And
all
so,
that kind of stuff. Anything with like an M, you should be good to go.
yeah. And so you do beat her, Erin the Oglop Master is what they call her, and you get a rebirth ring. So that's pretty
Which is
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can't see it yet, so we're not going to talk about it yet because we're not actually able to see it. Because right after this, it goes straight to some serious stuff, right? So you get out of it. Aiko comes up to Zidane's like, "Yo, like something is about to happen big time. We have to go." And then it goes to a cinematic that we're stopping at. So we are not going to go any further. Actually, it goes to a little deviant in Alexandria before it goes to that cinematic. But we are going to stop there because that opened up a whole can of worms that we just simply cannot get into. So, all right. Well, we thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us. We're 27 episodes in, man. So we are rolling along. Things are about to heat up even more. And yeah, we're just loving it. Make sure you check out our Instagram, Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. As always, talk about we just post the media and stuff. It's really fun, and it's kind of a cool way to interact with you all listening too. Also, same with our website, finalstopfinalfantasytalks.com. Blogs there. We post to see trivia questions, any of the music we use during the episodes, such as Bold Move, which I would pose. I always we lead into Bold Move with just a small little clip. I would post a question or a challenge for you all to try to identify what song that is just from that little bit. See if you can do it. It's kind of a fun little thing that I like to do as well. So, regardless, once again, thank you all, and I'm Mark.
Alex.
This is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.